it's time. Are you ready to begin?
Hey, we're rolling.
All right, if you all rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item is executing the minutes for the meeting of November 14th.
Second.
Acting Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Sweetin?
Aye. Motion stands approved. Next item is Resolution 13-205, itemizing financials, and Heidi's going to give us an update on those financials.
Financials today include, we have a revenue decertification for the Mental Health Construction Fund, an appropriation transfer to return appropriations to the auditor's office for class cancellation reimbursement that was deposited into the general fund, supplemental appropriations for the Department of Job and Family Services and Water Resources to correct appropriations for year end, cash transfers out of the general fund for a portion of 2013 funding for the Youth Center, and the second quarter state fiscal year 2014 mandated share for Job and Family Services. Contract with Envirotech LLC for membrane cleaning at the McFarland wastewater treatment plant for the Department of Water Resources in the amount of $22,000. And a payment to the City of Chardon for third and fourth quarter 2013 police prosecutor services in the amount of $17,500.
So moved. Second.
Acting Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier?
So, yes.
Commissioner Sweetin?
Aye.
We're going to turn on.
Okay, the City of Chardon, we have Mayor King with us, and we have the Administrator, Randy Sharp. Planning and zoning. So they're going to talk about the parcel that runs on our property that they would like to get a right-of-way for their bike trail, that they have recently had a connection from the Maple Highland Trail through Sharp. And Mayor King, the floor is yours. Or Randy Sharp, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Commissioners. Good morning. We do have a presentation this morning coming up here shortly. Coming up, and what we're trying to do is connect the two trailheads of the Maple Highlands Trail that are at the north of the city and the south of the city. Right now we're working on phase one, which is at the north, which is on 5th, and bring that all the way through to Water Street. So that's what you're going to hear mostly about today. Phase two would then take it all the way down to South Street on where Peterson's law offices are, and pick up the trailhead down there. So it's simply a connector of joining the Maple Highlands Trail to the north, to the south. And then, if you're familiar with that trail, it also goes even more to the north on Greenway trails in Lake County, which eventually go all the way up to Lake Erie. So eventually, I think it will be in excess of 20 miles of trail for both counties to enjoy. I'd like to introduce Michelle Johnson from Environmental Design Group. Michelle and her firm have done the design, have been working on all the preliminary aspects of the trail for us. And with that, I'll turn it over to Michelle.
Great, thank you. We're just going to quickly walk over the current alignment, look at the two parcels. They're actually two separate parcels but deeded together that the county actually owns, and then just look at some of the trailheads, just kind of the fun part of the project. There we go. So right now we are completing our right-of-way acquisition. We actually have a decent amount of donated property above and beyond the county, private landowners. We have, the big thing that we have done, this is a federal project. It was funded by NOACA, 80% federal money with a 20% local match. We have gotten through our CE document, which is major, so all of our environmental has been cleared. That's a very, very good thing. And our alignment is set. So we can see the black line in there is the alignment. We have some, you don't have a pointer in here.
Oh, no.
That's okay.
Sorry.
The black line going through there, north is actually to our left. So we have 5th on the top, which is actually all the way to your left, and Water is on the right, which is always the south. We had some environmental, not issues, but concerns before this project started. So this is only a 0.47 mile long section of the trail. We wanted to make sure that with the money available from the feds that we were able to cover all the environmental issues that might come up during this process. The areas in pink are actually two separate parcels that the county actually owns. The one to the south, which is farthest to your right in pink, is the deeded property. So it is landlocked. Both of them are deeded together though. You can see the trail goes right through the edge, the eastern edge of the county property. The big thing here is that we are within the setback requirement that is on the east side of your property. So the area of the trail that would be part of this easement is not buildable at all if there were to be a building on this site. So we're not really taking, there is a value associated, but we're not taking any value by the donation of this easement.
Is it going, not going?
Oh, it's going into its weird.
There we go.
I just-
So right now we are finalizing all of our trailheads and nodes. One of the big things that we talked about when we were hired for this project, this trail is so close to downtown Chardon, and we wanted to make sure that people using this trail realized that there were businesses and local, shops to go, whether it was coffee, ice cream, boutiques, etc. So we wanted to go through and do trailheads and nodes that were kind of gathering places and or stopping places to really make it a neat place to be, as well as incorporate signage that would let people realize that they're within a 4-minute bike ride to downtown or a 7-minute walk. So just really quickly, I just wanted to walk through the different trailheads that we have designed. They're all very low maintenance, but this is 5th Avenue. This is looking south, so this is what you see from the road. So it's not, too crazy, but it's noticeable. Our big thing here was to make sure that if people were driving by, that they realized that some sort of activity was going on, and make it look like a nice place. So if you didn't realize that there's a trail there, it looks nice enough to be like, hey, we can't go today, but maybe this weekend the kids and I will go and ride on the trail. This is Center Street.
Oh, that's nice.
Going through, this is actually the county property.
We couldn't figure out what that blue building was when we saw it at,
That's that.
Yeah, we
That's
switched that up a little
wonderful
bit.
building.
Doug, your paint
That's
is
the
done.
little,
It used to be.
Little paint job.
yeah, but there's a lot of environmental.
Issues with it,
And
Did
here's-
you have any environmental issues going through there?
No.
Really?
No. There was a couple things that came up, but yeah, it fully cleared the phase 1. We were, our engineers did a really good job here. There's all sorts of, especially in the Chardon oil site, we had to look into some buried tanks and things like that, but we did quite a few borings, and geotechnical was no issue whatsoever.
So you're gonna go right by the car wash there in the back?
Let me look at the site plan here. So this is an actual 2-scale site plan, if that helps you a little bit. The other one's obviously just an artist rendering. So this is a 10-foot trail. You need at least a 2-foot buffer on either side to meet ASHTO standards, which is required with using federal dollars. We have at least 2 feet on either side of the trail. So anything that we do here, would be enhancing the landscape around it, but it is low maintenance. We're providing areas that if business owners did want to improve above and beyond what we're planting, there's plenty of space for that. That was a question that came up at City Council.
That's nice.
And this is a little off. This is larger than what it would really be.
That's
So
nice.
here's your site plan. This is Water Street looking north. Burger King just added soft serve ice cream, so we have a little cutoff in case people wanted to go grab soft serve or a burger and fries, make it easily accessible. You can see we have kiosks and things like that. We're hoping that the local business owners are going to want to advertise themselves, as well as some directional signage and wayfinding. Everything that we are proposing as far as the accessories, benches, trash receptacles, etc., are all prefab. They'll be very, very nice, but we're looking at prefabrication. So, and just really quick, we do have an existing trail to the south along 44. This is the next phase that the city is just now looking at conceptually. So we have our .47 that ends at Water Street. The yellow is the next phase. This is not something that you're voting on today. It was just to let you know that we are continuing to the end of the trail that exists on 44 south of Park. That's all I have for you, so if anyone has any questions. Yeah.
Yes, my name is Diane Jones. My question is this going to be a multi-use trail, or will it be limited only to bicycles?
No, it's a multi-use trail. It's actually required by the federal government, so.
Does that mean there will be a place for me to park my horse trailer so I can take my horse?
Right now, on this 0.47 mile section, there is not room for that, but on the new phase 2 that we're just working on with the city, they actually are talking about, there is some space just to the west of 44 that they're very interested in having an actual parking lot trailhead that would accommodate cars as well as most likely a horse trailer. But the 0.47, unfortunately, with the property, we don't have enough room for that.
So phase 2, what is the expected timeline for that?
We are just getting going on the conceptual alignment and the conceptual cost estimate. We are going to be going to NOACA for another 80% of match money. So it's going to be probably a couple years before we actually get going and shovels in the ground. And that's assuming that the federal process happens quickly. Most likely fiscal year 18, fiscal year 19, which is 6 months ahead of what we consider a calendar year.
Because now, in order to go on that trail, you have to go down at Clarendon Troy and park down at the bottom near the Mill Harder Park. It's kind of down, isn't it down there that way, or is it?
To park, you mean?
There's a park down there where
Oh,
you
okay.
can park to get onto the trail. Like with Diana, she brought a trailer, she could park there and she could get on it. But the trouble is that next section isn't gonna be there. But you could go to
Right,
Middlefield.
Yeah,
Are horses,
got it.
are horses allowed on these trails?
Yeah, I mean, unless the county and the city were to say,
Well,
it's
I
as
think
long as
that's
it's
nice.
non-motorized.
Yeah.
Per
Oh,
federal
I see.
regulations, it's 10 feet wide and horses
And they
are
gotta
considered
clean up.
non-motorized.
They gotta clean
Do
up.
they have to take a bag?
It is a paved trail, normally on a paved trail.
I don't think so.
That is something that people complain
We
about.
do that. We do clean up,
Okay, good.
yeah.
I'd be
all over
surprised if I
Northeast
ever saw a
Ohio.
horse on the trail.
You
I
never know.
haven't seen one, that's
You
interesting.
never know. Sir, did you have a question?
Yeah, originally,
Good
there was
fertilizer.
the project was sold as a 1-point-some mile project for $600,000. Now, I heard you say 0.47 miles. What's the cost of the 0.47 miles? And so if you're gonna be going back, what's the total cost of the project, including the?
The 1.2, I believe, was for the entire phase 1 and phase 2. The original 0.47 was the only application that went through for that section. It was a $542,000, 80%, so what is that, 621 with the full 100%? And that was the
650,
original application.
So I'm confused. So the entire project, including what's proposed here, is gonna be how much?
We have not done that yet. That's what we've just been hired to do for this yellow section.
So the 0.47 cost
621,000.
621, which was supposed to be for a 1.2 mile.
No,
No.
That's what the original project was when you made the request, Randy, for NOACA. It was 1.2 miles. They have the project.
She did the application.
I did the application. I worked there.
She
at the
reviewed the
time.
application.
Yeah, I approved the application. That was not the original application.
correct. It was just for the beginning phase 1, Skip.
There's a lot of confusion because people thought it was a complete connection.
Yeah, no, I think what you're referencing actually is because at that time, the TE dollars that they were awarded for this project was capped at $600,000 maximum. So the total phase 1 and phase 2, they were estimating around 1.2, 1.4 million, but they weren't applying for all of that at the same time. They were just trying to show that, hey, we need to do phase 1 right here in order to get to this southern termini. We're not building a trail to nowhere, but we have to start somewhere, and this is all we can afford right now. So I think there was a reference showing what the entire length was going to be, but that's not what was applied for.
So this additional length you got here, how long is that?
I haven't measured, we did a little bit of hook there, so I haven't measured what the new one is.
It's still gonna be around 1.2 at the end of the day, right?
It's probably gonna be a little bit more than that.
And so about double the money.
I'm not quite, I unfortunately can't answer that right now. We have not done enough of this phase yet to give an answer on that. I can get.
As part of your project, did you have traffic counts in your proposed traffic counts?
No, because we are not altering the roadway whatsoever. We're crossing a road, but we're not changing any lane.
I'm talking about the number of bikes you're proposing.
No, but NOACA is actually going to be doing bike counts once this is actually built.
So there's no projection.
No, unfortunately. We have a very strong case in the NOACA region. If you build, they will come. The new counts that were just produced very much, the 2 new areas that were counted went up exponentially in ridership.
Have you seen the total count on the canal bicycle trail, goes to Akron?
The
That's probably one
towpath?
of the
Oh, I
busiest.
live
You mean
there.
the towpath, right?
I live on the towpath.
And so
That's pretty heavy.
Have you seen the traffic count on it?
I have not lately, and actually it varies based on where you are along that, because that's quite a long, that goes all the way to Cleveland. So depending on pretty much how close you are to a trailhead. You get a little bit extra ridership because it's easy access. You don't have too many people that are going the entire length. There's a lot of people that do that, but it's very long. So I know the national park, if you're interested in those numbers, has very easily accessible information on the towpath ridership if you are interested.
Michelle, could you address the possibilities for crossing Center Street?
For Center Street, yeah. Center Street and or Water Street, depending on future traffic as we move forward, we are looking at a hawk signal, which is a pedestrian and or bicycle actuated signal. So what that is, and that would be lumped in with this phase 2, this is not part of phase 1. So we have mid-block crossings, and they're far enough away from a signal where as people are approaching the trail to cross over the road, it is an unlit or an unlit signal system. So it's not like a yellow flashing light. I personally don't like those because we all see those yellow flashing lights in our own neighborhood and you know it's there, you don't really pay attention to it. So this is completely mute until someone actually pushes it. It starts flashing yellow, then it actually turns red, and it operates like a normal signal. So it allows people to safely cross the street, so cars have to stop at the stop bar, and then after people are passed, it goes back to flashing red, flashing yellow, and then blank again. So that way we're not, you know, if it is something that is decided to be installed, you're not adding a stoplight for no reason. You only make it a stoplight when someone actually wants to cross.
And that may or may not be a problem. I was just thinking about the stoplight that was put at Auburn Road in Mayfield. And when they first put that in, I mean, cars virtually went right through it.
Really?
There were a lot of accidents.
It's actuated?
And that is, yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't actuated, it was a
Oh.
regular light. And because it's never been there, people would just, and I would think on a light that wasn't always there, I could just see, it'd be a getting used to thing.
For those, especially at mid-block, when you're doing a hawk signal, because it's completely different
Yeah.
than a normal light, there is no green. It just goes blank. We
Oh, it
always
just-
recommend the city, the actual digital signs, use signal operation ahead and leave those out for quite a while, just to remind people that this is something that's new and to watch out for. So whether it's a metal sign that is temporary or a digital sign that you can leave out for a while, especially during bike season when you're going to have, you know, a lot more people using this, that is something that we recommend putting out on either side to warn drivers that there is a new signal operation happening here and that the traffic pattern has, it's not really the traffic pattern, but the traffic movement has changed a little bit. And that's something that would be on maintenance for the city in this location. Any other questions?
Just want to point out that on this slide, the red is the existing trailhead that
Yeah, it's
was
hard
built
to read,
too.
sorry about that.
And then on one of your first ones on the north, on the fifth, can you back up to that one? The Geauga Park District right now is building what will be on the opposite side of this. So that's where it'll come in on the opposite side of Fifth Street there.
So they're gonna connect.
And that'll be what they finish up, I think, next spring.
Oh, that'll be nice, yeah.
So this is the second to last piece, and then phase 2 is the last piece to connect all of this area through, you know, through the county property as well as through the city of Chardon. Any other questions?
And that's why we're here asking the county's consideration for the easement, because this is a very important part of the connector for that bike trail. That's why we're asking for the county's consent to use that through an easement.
So how many feet is that through our property? I don't have that number. How many feet are we looking at? Is that 1,000 feet or?
Oh, no, it varies actually. 'Cause
No, just in our section.
Yeah, it varies because the trail isn't just a straight line. It
Oh,
kind of does that. But the minimum part of the trail is actually 14 feet. I can't remember this section if we're asking for 30 or 50. I can double check on that though.
30 or
No,
50?
she's saying how many feet?
Right
What was
away.
the width of the
Linear.
parcel?
Yeah, the linear
Linear
the
feet
right
around
way.
our
How
property.
I
much?
do not have that number memorized.
Yeah,
I can
because
get back to
I
you.
mean,
We
I
can go
don't
and
know.
access Geauga and
Do
measure
we
that
know
spot
how
right
big that
there.
property? Yeah.
It's probably the easement language. I
It
would
looks to
assume.
me like it's around 1,000 feet, my guess. But-
So that whole line is 4,000, or, I'm sorry, 0.49 miles?
0.47, correct, from
0.47.
Fifth to Water.
It's a short section, but still.
So we're taking, looks, for lack of a better term, probably about 20% of that is on ours.
Give or take.
Oh,
But the
yeah,
key thing here is that Steve, from the planning department, did his due diligence, and this is the area that just cannot be built on. If this were to ever be sold to a future property owner and used for a different purpose, this is non-buildable section. That was on purpose.
And it still counts as their green space.
Correct, correct.
Michelle, wasn't that the entire premise of your design, to be least intrusive to
Oh,
any of the
absolutely.
properties that we
Absolutely.
come through?
Yeah.
2 feet.
Yep.
I wonder what that means.
That's something that we always strive for, you know, it's every once in a while you have an easement, but a flat out
Okay.
Right
full
away,
use
they were
taking is not something that.
Would you say that's like four, right here, it says 452 feet.
Yeah, we're doing a little bit
That's
of right
because of
now.
that. I thought it was more like 1,000.
Okay.
So we'll be working behind him.
From
He
this
also
line
is,
to.
very civic minded. So his Lance came in from Advanced Auto.
Okay.
And they were coming in.
Okay.
They needed a
To
variance.
here, so
we
that,
got the side
would you say
there.
that that's what that number would be?
Then Ronzio too is what's Ronzio. And they just.
People put these things in, we don't want to have to.
And what about Chardonnay? Chardonnay also in negotiation right now,
Here
and
to-
they do want to be
To
compensated.
there. But they have a number
Worry
here,
about the rest of the
452
city.
feet.
Yeah. 400 feet?
452 feet looks like.
But they're also very much.
I mean, I'm not sure right here.
I calculated.
I need
Just
someone
concerned
in.
about
What did you
tanks or
calculate?
one bank,
20%.
Visibility,
of half a
we're
mile.
probably gonna put up kind of a, like
It's
a area
410.
fence so people can't really just see all those little.
Right, right.
Go to
They
the.
go right down. And they have that big smile.
Well,
saying
I
that
like
it's just a,
When you were saying
it
for
doesn't
county,
have any
of county
function.
property.
Yeah, what I'm saying, see,
But they
it's a
want to
permanent
move it.
easement
They're not
of
sure if they're gonna get rid of
0.2
those.
acres, so
No, it's
that's
good.
about
And then what
a
is,
quarter.
like, as far as the bushes and stuff, who put that up, you or the park?
452,
Like in
so
the,
she's,
the diagram?
yeah, you're right.
Like
on-
for
yeah.
Chardonnay and that, it's just put like some kind of
So,
a
and it's
barrier there.
We
That's a
would.
project
14,
cost.
10
Yeah,
to
that's part of
14
the
feet
project.
wide, so you're only taking up.
Unfortunately, all those big evergreens, you know, big evergreens, I mean,
Yeah,
those probably gonna be gone.
okay.
And then aren't we responsible for the ongoing maintenance of the trail through the city? Yeah.
So the county wouldn't have any involvement in that
No.
at all?
No, the donation of the easement would then donate the maintenance to the person inheriting the easement.
Okay.
Okay, good. About 103 and 104. So on this design, it shows 452 feet.
Okay, great.
So if that was, that. pretty
I'm
well
sorry, I don't have that
indicates-
number.
Yeah, well, this is
Way
yours.
in my head.
Your name is down here. Parcel. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Do you think that there would be a value for Chardon to buy the whole the property for a nice parking spaces for your,
Oh, yeah.
for your, use to kind of be in a position where you'll have then access to park cars and,
That would be up to the city. I mean, assuming that we're able to fit the trailhead down
Yeah.
south of 44, those might be a little redundant. I would pick one over the other. But that would be up to the city of Chardon. I mean, that's something, I like that it's close to downtown. I think there's pluses and minuses to both locations. I personally, knowing how short of an area this is, I don't think it's worth the money to build both. So I would make a
One or the
choice
other.
between the two.
The other
Unless
one
money's
that-
no object,
I
then we
think
can
that's a
do
great
both of
idea.
them.
The other property that
That's right.
Michelle's referring to is the one where the burned down garage currently sits.
Oh,
That we already own, that we have,
Oh.
that we've talked about
Yeah.
potential funding for.
yeah, that's
for the
pretty
next
big
phase.
there too, yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
so you wouldn't be interested in buying that?
Not at this time.
Could be a possibility.
Good place to put your snow.
We already built a snow
I
facility.
As far as planning goes.
As far as training goes, I think the city would ultimately rather see that developed commercially. And the trail is where it is, not just for if you guys sold it as a single lot. We also put the trail where it was to not cut you guys off from the availability being combined with the properties to the south of you that are both actively being marketed, in case somebody would want to come in and string a couple pieces together, which basically would be your piece all the way down to the properties at the corner of Cherry and Center Street, because there has been some interest in trying to string together multiple properties there. As far as the trailhead there, it wouldn't be the worst thing that could go on that property. But Michelle will probably test, and I think commissioners know the issues or the sensitivity with the site as is. Obviously, there's a lot of other things that would have to be studied before the city could say they wanted to purchase it.
But your property is in a good position commercially right now. So with the property on the corner for sale and the interest that's getting generated at the corners of Cherry and Center, your property's in a good commercial position right now. When you take the building down, it'll probably even get better.
That whole big rectangle,
Yeah.
taking it all the way down to Cherry.
And keep in mind, we did purchase the Park Avenue property from Jerry Peterson. That goes from Park Avenue down to the Greens. And we bought that for two reasons. One, we will put the bike path on that property. And also, we have a sewer that goes down through that right away. And so we will own the land at our sewer line, and we're going to be upgrading that sewer line in the future. So it was easier for us to just take care of it by buying the property, because we'll own the property with the sewer lines on.
Phil, one of the things that has also been brought up is we've got a couple of concerns right now with a few houses. David, approximately how many houses do we have that are in need of some
I believe the number's 26.
26, and that's on
Wintergreen.
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 That we're in need of some help right now too, and I guess, you know, a tit for a tat right now is, can we possibly get some support to be able to connect to the to your sewer plant with our homes to try to save our county some money of not having to worry about the you know, the upgrade to our plant that's going to be, you know, very pricey. In addition to that, then assess the additional costs to the residents there to kind of make this a win-win situation of just being able to help us out also.
Yeah, and I anticipated the question. The question of tit for tat, no. From the city's perspective, the bike path stands alone. It's not going to be, and the city's not going to be wanting to put itself in a position of trading the water sewer issue in exchange for the easement. The easement and access to the bike path has to stand here alone. Council will, and my plan is, separate from this, if the county is willing to share in a feasibility study, there is a serious long-term impact that taking on the 26 homes on Wintergreen would cause to our system. We do sympathize with your dilemma, and we know it's going to cost you about $600,000. Council unofficially would be willing to entertain allowing you to come and present it to council, but the first thing is you have to commit to sharing in the feasibility study. We can't, we have an ordinance that prohibits any connection for property that's not within the city limits, so we have to change the ordinance. We'd have to look at the legal impact of allowing outside residents to come in and use our system. Our system was designed and studied for full build-out of city-zoned property. If we allow outside people to come in, we have to see whether or not at our planned capacity can we take on additional users. I'm more than happy, and I've discussed this with Dave Lair. I'm more than happy to allow the county to come and ask city council, but the county is going to have to commit in sharing with the feasibility study. And that's an expensive proposition.
So would it be fair to just, let's just, and obviously I'll talk to the other two commissioners, but let's just put this then on the back burner till we get the costs of the feasibility studies and just of what direction we could go with that. I mean, there's no urgency that this has to be done today, correct?
Correct, but I will take the position I'm not going to present the water sewer issue to council until this is done. I'm not going to trade one for the other, Ralph. I do respect your problem, and I think it's serious, but I'm not going to trade one for the other. You have to make your decision on this before I make any presentation to council.
We do have a federal timeline that we have to follow on this.
Right.
That is a standalone.
And I understand that, and I'm not using that as a you know, as a ransom to getting something from you guys. It's just you know, I think that my question is if we say no to this today, what's the next step
For you.
for you?
We'll find another location. We're
We
committed
would put
to,
Michelle to work to say, find another realignment.
yep. We're committed to getting it done. We hope that you will take all of this into consideration. This is something that will benefit all of the county residents, not just the city. You have people that are from all the way from Troy, all the way up to Chardon Township that use this, and they're all county residents. I think holding this back changes the entire scope of this project, but we will get it done with or without that easement. And you can ask us for money for it. You can be reasonably compensated. So it's in the county's best interest to do this. It'll enhance your property, it'll make it more marketable, and it will increase the value of that whole strip down there. It just makes good sense. But I do understand wanting to lever 26 homes, but
I'm not levering it. I'm just asking you as far as just a, you know, just in a very civil way to say, you know, I know that we can help you here. We need help also, and I guess my position is this: is I think that you're convinced that this is going to be a valuable piece of property once this bike path is put through.
well, I think it's valuable now.
But it'll probably increase in value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we get a fair appraisal, then obviously it sounds like it's a sure bet. Would you be interested in buying that?
It's a little bit different because the way that the federal system works here, because we are using federal dollars, we'd have to go through ODOT right-of-way process. We are using a setback area here, so the fair market value of unusable land is very different than the fair market value of all the rest of that property. So because we are touching an area that wouldn't be able to have a physical building or parking lot on it, your fair market value, yes, we can compensate you for it, but it's not the same dollars as if we were to take the middle of that property and make it unusable.
Right.
So it's not that you can't get anything for it, but that number is quite insignificant compared to the rest of the value of your actual buildable property, if that
Right,
makes sense.
I mean, it makes perfect sense. I'm just saying that for us, we're in a situation where we will probably be in excess of $500,000 to build up this new water plant that we've got to do to serve our residents. We're just looking at other means to not burden everybody else with the cost, and we've got a value here. And I know Mayor King feels that there's a value, and it's probably going to increase in value. And I'm just saying that looking this on a you know, approach that it's a win situation for everybody. You know, this may be a perfect opportunity for Chardon to take this on, because there'll be quite a bit of value to that, you know, they'll be able to put their easement in there to be able to put their bike trail and have the value of the property that who knows what that thing could sell for, you know, 6 months, a year, 2 years from now. Or if they wanted to develop it for something additional to serve the, you know, residents of Chardon and potentially other neighboring communities.
A couple of things, Ralph, and I understand. One is going to be the cost of the property. Two, there's going to have to be an environmental study done on the land for any EPA issues that are going to be studied for contaminated soil for what it's been used over the years. That is a long-term issue for the city of Chardon. We won't be in a position of making any financial decision on that property in the foreseeable 6 months to a year. So that throws off the timetable of us, and quite frankly, I don't see that property fits into the city's long-term plan of property acquisition. I just don't see it. I mean, we can talk about it, that's just my opinion, but that's never been on our radar as a necessary property acquisition.
I see.
Much different than Water Street was for us to put through the Collector Street. This just doesn't serve a community purpose for us other than the bike
Our
path.
environmental cleared a 50-foot swath, and it stopped right there. So it would be a completely different environmental study. What happened by your building versus what happened away from the building
Right.
are probably two very different things. So we cleared it.
And we agree with that, 100%. We are aware of that, and that's part of a deal that we've already, I allocated dollars to be able to have the demolition and the studies done on that. So I'm with you 100%, you're 100% right. I guess my only question is this, is if, as far as where would the alternative area and route go if you were to do that?
We have to get creative.
Okay. Well, I guess my position,
Yeah, like in Painesville, I've run that many times, and obviously there was a problem there where they couldn't get through.
Okay.
You actually end and you go down a side street, a residential street, you pick up the sidewalk,
I see.
you make another turn on a sidewalk, and then you start joining it again. So, I mean, if we had to run up Center Street, down Washington, come back around, make a U type thing, maybe,
Yeah.
like she said, we'd have to be creative.
Well, except for we promised the feds that we would be off-road, so it would complicate things a little bit.
I just have a question for the mayor. Mayor, your sewer plant, as you speak of, that's supposed to accommodate your entire city. Are you positive about that?
About what?
If, I mean, that you have enough capacity?
No, we're not.
Okay,
No,
but here's my question. We go ahead and we build this plant that we need for these 26 homes, and we obviously will build it a little bit bigger than we need. And then all of a sudden, you know, you folks need extra capacity. You mean to tell me that you wouldn't come to us and say, you know, you put that new plant in there, you know, maybe that could help us? You know, we want to help each other.
Sure.
And and that's a very clear possibility, because we have seen that along the way with our other sewer plants where they have accommodated more homes because it was there. So it makes sense that we work something out.
The big thing here is that we need to double check to make sure that you're in the same facility planning area. Because if you're not, even if you two come to agreement, you would actually have to go to NOACA, which is your area-wide water quality organization, to make sure it's not just, if you're not in the same area, you can't just trade. You actually have to get permission from the organization to do that. If you're in the same area, you can internally do whatever you would like.
But if we did some kind of a, you know, the study that we talked about, we don't know what that would cost, but, I mean, that's something that should be looked at anyway, because it seems to me that plans that were put in long ago don't always accommodate what you anticipate that they
Right.
will.
And that's,
And down the road, you know, I can see us having this conversation, hey, you put that plan.
and that's what the mayor has indicated, that this council would look at that and see what the current capacity and the changes that the city has made in their zoning, how that has affected or not the capacity of the current plant, and would there be room then for the extra, and what the ramifications of allowing that for everything around the entire city, not just that section.
Yeah,
You know,
because
to
it might
look
be a
at
win for both
how
of
that
us
would happen,
if
yeah.
we needed the extra
Um,
capacity. I can see that happening.
Doug or Jerry, would you like to say anything?
Yeah, what do you have? What do you think? Yeah.
Well, currently the treatment plant is going to be renewed for a permit in 2015. And every time we go through a new renewal, every 5 years, they keep suggesting to us to talk to the city of Chardon. This next time, I don't think they're gonna allow it to go to another permit without us requiring us to do something, either building a new treatment plant or tying into Chardon, one way or the other.
Okay.
We estimate it's gonna be right around 600,000, and with 26 homes, that's like $24,000 home, basically, to do such a thing.
It's almost cheaper for us to turn all those homes back over, put septic systems in for each of the home and get rid of the
And I don't wanna be, you know, I'm not saying that Chardon wouldn't entertain or react positively. It makes sense, but it also has to make sense for our long-term planning for our water treatment plant. We don't wanna take on additional responsibilities, then in 10 years be faced with, we can't service the properties that we're extending our service to now. We're going to extend service out to Water Street, which has never been connected. We have industrial and commercial property on, out at Parker Court that we're gonna tie in, and then we have to do a new trunk sewer line down through Park Avenue. I don't wanna sound like, no, we're not willing to work with it, because we're obviously beginning to view, not only in Chardon, but other areas, regional septic and regional sewer systems, so it makes sense. We have to be careful in doing it. What I wanna be clear of, I can't commit the city to trading this for that. The city has to view them separately, because we have to be far more careful allowing you to tie in, because it won't be just you. There are many individuals outside the city of Chardon that would love the opportunity to tie in to our sewer system. But our sewer system was designed for Chardon's complete build-out. It's very tempting for us to bring new users in because we've experienced some financial hardships on our own. We can't fund a lot of the expansion, and it's fallen on new home users. What I'm saying is we have to be real careful and diligent looking at it. Would I be willing to say no? I'm not saying no. Prior councils have not even been interested in entertaining the idea. Now, if you're on a timetable, we should begin to discuss what that timetable is, get your commitment on a feasibility study, and then have you come and address it with council. And have some of your representatives meet with us, and we'll talk about it. We just have to be real careful.
Right. So how much time, when do you have to give an answer to them?
Very soon.
Yeah.
As far as like.
Within a couple weeks, on the timeline that we are on right now, this has to be done in a couple months. The entire study, not just the right of way.
My position is I'd like to just kind of just look into this, a couple of options that I'd like to just research on my end and make a decision. I don't know if we can table this and before we make a decision.
How many of the properties, how close are you to wrapping this up?
These are almost our last two. We had tried getting on the agenda a few months ago, and they're just administratively some weird miscommunications happened, so.
To look into it, I don't.
Do you feel okay with that? Also, Blake?
Yeah, I
think.
have some comments about it, but I figured we'd wait till we get back up there. I don't own that building and that property. About 95,000 plus or so people own a share of it, and well, the merits of that bike path could be argued until the sun goes down. The bottom line is we're supposed to give something away for nothing in return, on a promise that we may get something in return. And I never found that to be good business. That's my opinion.
I don't think it's gonna hurt if Ralph does some investigation. I think that's.
What would you be looking at investigating?
You know, I guess I'd like to just talk to you maybe just to see what other alternative routes you can do to be able to still, you know, make your, you know, dream happen and just, you know, leave us out of it. That would be one of them.
Why would you want to leave you out of it? I guess I
just look at it in the sense.
I'm a county resident, and I've been with the project for 5 years. I want to try to understand why the county wouldn't want to participate.
Well, if I might answer.
Please.
You're going to cross 5 reasonably to heavy trafficked roads.
Okay.
We hear about a crossing signal that if I'm a 12-year-old kid, I'm just going to press the button and just stop traffic till cows come home. Now, maybe there'll be a peace officer there to eliminate that, but it just seems to me that it takes 10 minutes to get from Pizza Hut to the square on a Friday afternoon. This isn't going to help. And that's the whole county. And people that live in Huntsburg and Montville and Thompson and Hamden and Lord knows where else that are going east and west through the city of Chardon.
So yours is a safety issue?
Safety and traffic congestion issue.
Mine is a safety issue also. And one of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted to actually try to contact ODOT to actually pull crash statistics on that road within those intersections to actually see what kind of crash rates we have on there, because that is a concern of mine. That was one of the things that I was going to bring up is, you know, we do have, that's a heavily trafficked area, and I don't know, I'm looking at some areas that there's like this big, you know, place that maybe this thing could go otherwise that would still attain the same goal, but yet I think that I agree with Blake 100% on this. Is there's a safety issue there that I would have to really look at some of the reporting on there and be able to really look at that to say, is this a sensible position for us to take also? You know, because I just would hate to see something traumatic happen where you've got a pedestrian motor vehicle crash that occurs on this, and we're only going to be increasing that more as more use of this bike path happens, more volume of risk we face.
And I think we share the issue of safety. It's going to cross Center Street somewhere. So, you know, saying it's not going to cross here, it's going to have to cross somewhere on Center Street. And we all are very concerned about safety, and I would believe and trust that Environmental Design Group has studied the safety issue, because that's what they do. They create bike paths and access points for the street. And I have to believe, Michelle, you have looked at that. Because we're going to cross Water Street, and that's just as busy as Center Street.
Have you pulled crash statistics from ODOT?
It's actually not so much the crash that we worry about, and that would come from your local police department. That actually wouldn't come from Department of Transportation.
That's incorrect, because all of your crash reports are going to be filed on an OH1, which is going to go directly to DOT.
We care about the detail that your localized information has more than what is sent to DOT. The bigger thing here is your traffic volumes that we care about. You are under 10,000 cars a day on these roads, which is a very, it's actually appropriate for on-road cycling, let alone crossing at off-road. So we actually have, I know for this community, it feels like a lot of traffic, but in general, when you're looking at bicycle facilities, this is actually a very, very good area to put in the trail.
I'm just curious, I mean, if you took the trail down and around and then you kind of made it go down Cherry Street where there's actually a light, that everyone knows there's a light there, and then when you go down that place and you go past Aldi's, you're in that big area of emptiness where you could tie in.
We actually prefer mid-block locations for bike crossings. The reason being is you have fewer conflict points. So think about sitting at a four-way stop, how many different turning movements that you actually have of people turning right, people turning left, people going straight. Whereas here, we only have a bidirectional. You're either going east or you're going west. So you only, as a cyclist, really have to look at one traffic pattern. Whereas, not that it can't be done at signals, because in some cases we do that all the time, but from a safety perspective, it's actually a lot better to do it at a mid-block, because you're eliminating, 4 to 6 different conflict points depending on how your signals are oriented.
So taking that a step further, in all of your design, you've taken safety in, and this is one of the features of this is it's a safe access. If we run it anywhere else, Mary, we're going to be putting people on the street, and that's not as safe as letting them go cross lock.
Even with the signal there.
Yes.
We prefer to have mid-block if we have the choice, not that it can't be done at a signal, but we would absolutely prefer mid-block over that, because especially if you have little kids using this, that's a lot going on, people turning left and right and all over the place. Mid-block is a lot safer.
And just let me chime in here. We did a study. We had citizens come in, because it would have been much easier for us to just dump the trail out on 5th Avenue, let them ride up 5th Avenue on the street, go up North Street, go down South Street to make the connection. We could have done that, but the participants in the study and all of the design specialists said, you don't want to be putting, if at all possible, bicycles on the street. I mean, we can do protected areas, but that doesn't enhance their safety. This does. So while I understand your safety issue, it's as safe as it's going to get.
And just to clarify, the volume counts on what the road has is important, but the percentages of crashes in comparison to that, I think that is something that has to be taken into consideration.
We can absolutely look at that, but as a transportation planner, I'm going to guess that once again, your signalized areas are going to be your high crash locations.
Right, but we are putting a signalized area here, which is, if they're going to cross over, that's going to be a signal location, and it's not going to be your traditional traffic signal.
It's a signal without a turning movement.
Right.
Turning movements are usually what cause the crashes. you don't often see the rear ending. It's usually the turning movements that are your high crash locations, which is
Excuse me.
why the bike is safer.
We have 2 items on the agenda that we act on. The rest of this debate is in planning and hypotheticals and theoreticals. And really, that should be done at a different time, different venue. I suggest in the effort to move the meeting forward, that we
I'm good.
act on those items. I mean, we're not going to decide where they're going to move it if we don't give them access, and we're not going to, any discussion about traffic safety and so on and so forth is not on our agenda. We need to deal with what's within our purview. That's my opinion, but there's 2 other people over here.
I think that I share the same feeling at this point. We could just
Come on
move
up.
forward.
Turn on the lights and take a vote.
Okay, we're back, and,
I would call to make a motion to table this for review within next 2 weeks and make a decision on. Do we?
well,
I'll second
we
that.
have Thanksgiving coming up, so, well, that's at the 30th, actually, 28th.
28th,
Before
isn't
then?
it?
Yeah, 28th.
We have the meeting on the 26th.
We have it until the 26th, do you want
That's next Tuesday.
Already?
It rolls to
Oh.
December 3rd.
December 3rd, I would say.
I say December 3rd is good.
Yeah, December.
I second the motion. That's
So move. Second also.
Acting Commissioner Rea?
aye.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Sweeney?
Aye. Motion stands approved. We'll be back on December 3rd with a vote on that. And we would like to entertain the discussion on that sewer plan, I think. Get Doug Bowen and Jerry involved. I think we need to look at that. That's a very big issue down the road, and I think that Chardon and the county could work together.
Is the county taking the position that they will share in the cost of a feasibility study?
I guess we'll have to find out what that costs.
Well, it's going to be,
What, do you have any idea? Jerry, Doug, do you have any idea on that? No, I have no idea.
How difficult is it to
Can our
have a
own,
reasonable ballpark figure by that time? I mean, I don't think
can
anybody
we
can.
do that?
I'll have to ask council first.
Okay.
If you're willing to entertain a shared cost, I'll ask council if they're interested in opening a discussion.
Because this is
of
down the
letting you
road for us anyway, we may as well get it started.
I can give you a cost proposal on that. We do the.
What, on the sewer plant?
No, just the
On
feasibility
feasibility?
study. Just
Feasibility study.
of a ballpark range of
Yeah,
what.
yeah, I mean, I don't know, trust me, I don't know your business, so if it's plus or minus 10,000 or plus or minus 50,000, I don't really know.
North of 50.
I meant
50,000?
I meant plus or minus the range from your ballpark figure. You're gonna give us a number, but we're not gonna, could be a little more, could be a little less, is what I'm saying.
And we will also provide the crash data around these
I-
different
I-
locations.
Okay.
I think that we're all in agreement, we'd like to see those numbers, right? And
Well, we want to work together in a way
Right.
that it helps us both,
I would-
and I think,
I'm just asking if you are willing to entertain. I will discuss this with council at our regular meeting in December.
okay.
Yeah, I don't
Will
think
that
it's
be
a,
before the 3rd?
No. And I want to be perfectly clear. If you're tabling this for me to go to council, I'm not going to go to council because you're putting me in a position tit for tat. I want to be very clear. It's not tit for tat. You act on this alone, I will go to council separate from this issue. Separate. So if you're tabling it hoping that I'll go to council and you'll table it again, I'm not going to take it to council based on you putting me in a position of taking it in exchange for this. I want to be very clear. I'll work with you, council will work with you, but not under those terms.
would you rather that we rescind this and just vote no?
That's your choice.
No,
But
I
I'm
think,
not,
let's just do that.
I think you're shooting yourself in the foot by doing that. And you're clearly trying to pressure the city. And the city's not gonna be pressured into taking on your 26 homes. We're not gonna
I
be
can
pressured into
appreciate
it.
your position there, but.
So don't put me in it then.
Well, I
Don't
can.
put me there.
Okay, I can also understand that the easement is an issue that we have to answer to the entire county for.
Absolutely.
And based on what I hear, regardless of tit for tat, as you say, I would not favor that, but that's just where I'm
Let's
at.
not put me in that position, please.
But we've voted on the two.
Yeah, let's
We're-
just go ahead
go
with
to the
that.
next
And I
item
still
6.
feel we need to get a cost for feasibility study. I think it's still.
I think you're right.
Regardless of, we go with this or we don't go this, because this plant is down the road very soon, from what our Director Bowen said. We have to do this, so we're not going to get another extension.
What is your timetable on the plant?
Well, the permit expires in July of 2015, so that's.
That's 6 months.
Yeah.
Huh?
Well, no, that's a year and a half.
15, that's a year and a half.
Year and a half.
One other thing
Plenty of
is,
time.
as far as like with the funding, like I know that there's obviously some form of immediacy for you to get this done, but what if we just push this off till next year and then get phase 1 and phase 2 to have you try to get that funding for next year to be able just to do the whole project?
Phase 1 is under its own standalone
Yeah,
timeline.
what
for
they
the
would do
five.
is that money would go away, Ralph, and it would go to another city or village in the northeast Ohio area that's under the Geauga and 5 counties in the city of Cleveland. It will go somewhere else, because it is earmarked for trails, unfortunately.
Right.
Jerry,
It would have been better to go for the whole ball of wax at one time.
the money that we would spend, agree to spend on our share of a feasibility study, and that feasibility study comes back, and any issue with the city falls, would that money or that feasibility study help you in the county in going forward with our own project? Or would we then in turn have to get another feasibility study of our own?
We wouldn't need a feasibility study because we already know for our
know
plant
what's gonna
what.
happen.
Okay, so
Sorry,
you
yeah.
know
What is
that
needed.
what's gonna happen, and basically the feasibility study is for their benefit, the city's benefit.
Well, it'd be for
that
our
correct?
benefit if we tied
we don't
in.
If we tied into it,
I
we
mean,
have
if
to.
we tied in with it,
We
it'd be
don't
a
need it.
really.
The city doesn't need to
Feasibility
do that
study.
at this point in time.
We do not need to spend the money on a feasibility study for the next several years.
So if
So
they're
you're
willing
asking
to
me to
split.
demonstrate
Demonstrate
money out.
that you guys.
Okay, I'm just
That's
trying to get
fair.
that clarified in my own mind.
And what the board needs to think about is how they want to and who they want to present your dilemma to all of council at a regular session. So please let Randy or myself know how you want to go about presenting to council. Who wants to,
Well, probably a director.
you know, put your dilemma before council for its consideration. I will discuss it with them on, and I'll make that commitment, I'll discuss it with council in session on the second Thursday, see if they're willing to entertain the idea.
Even interested.
Preliminarily, I don't think they're going to object to at least reviewing it. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
See
Thank
you
you
at
If you
for
need anything
coming,
else,
gentlemen.
let us know about it like that.
Okay.
And thank you so much for your time. I know we took up a lot of.
Thank you. No problem. Thank you.
So now we go down to, I guess we skip a few things here. We go to number 6, which is a requesting a hearing on the liquor license, not requesting a hearing on the liquor license by Ninya and Mahi Incorporated, doing business at the Munson Sun Mart located on Mayfield Road there in Chardon. I think it's in 44, right?
So move.
Second.
Acting Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Sweet?
Aye. Motion stands approved. And you want to go on with the next one there?
The Commissioner's Office is requesting the Board concur with Munson Township trustees and not requesting a hearing on the liquor license requested by Sycamore Lake Incorporated doing business as Alpine Valley Lodge, first and second floors and patios located at 10620 Mayfield Road, Shopton, CN 8748401.
So moved.
Second.
Aye.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Sweetie?
Aye. All right. The next item is we're approving and authorizing the president of the board to execute the cancellation request policy relief for Tracy's public official.
So moved.
Second.
Acting Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Sweetie?
Aye, motion stands approved. Okay, the next item, our judge, Tim Grindell, has requested that the Portage Geauga Detention Center Board of Trustees to fill the unexpired term of Carolyn Paschke, who went on to be magistrate in, I believe it is the court of Forestburg, and that was May 31st, 2014. And at the recommendation of Tim Grindell, according to the ORC 2152.44, when the judge makes a request, and it has to come from the judge, we would approve his request. And he has requested that Janet Carson be appointed, and I believe we should honor his request.
I don't have a problem making decisions. I have a problem making uninformed decisions, and well, I realize it's not anybody's issue but mine. This is my first full meeting, and I don't know enough about this to vote affirmative on it. But I'll move.
Second.
Acting Commissioner Rea?
No.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Sweetie?
Aye. Motion stands approved. Okay, coming up, we have a meeting on Thursday, 11/21, 11/26, our regular session on the 28th. Of course, that is canceled because it's Thanksgiving, but our county offices will be closed except for the 24-hour operations. They'll be open that day. On the 29th, the county offices under our hiring authority will be closed for that's the Friday after Thanksgiving. On the 3rd, we'll hold regular session. The 5th, regular session. 12/5, the Portage Geauga Juvenile Detention Center Joint Board at 2 o'clock. We will be meeting in Portage County. The Chagrin Watershed Partners on the 5th will have their Board of Trustees meeting at 4 at Willoughby Hills. It's right off of Route 6 there. And then on the 6th, the CIC meeting will have a luncheon for anyone we would like to bring. 12 p.m. at St. Dennis. And then the county commissioners between 12/8 and 12/10 will attend the CCAO Winter Conference in Columbus. And then on the 10th, that great day, December 10th, the commissioner meeting is canceled, and the planning commission meeting will take place, but I don't believe we'll be here.
No, you'll be back.
We'll be back?
Oh, yeah, because you always leave around noon.
Do we?
Yeah, yeah, on that
I
Tuesday.
haven't heard whether it's been canceled.
We leave following lunch, typically on the Tuesday.
The list stops at 12:10. All right. Next meeting would be 12:12.
That's true.
Yeah, and I was scheduled to be out of town for some period of time,
Yeah.
long before this.
Yeah.
Are we gonna have, are two people gonna be here?
Yeah,
You two?
Ralph and I.
To have a meeting, or I may be able to modify my plans and be here.
I think, isn't that what you paid way in advance for?
No, that's January. I have all the credentials, but this doesn't include so much travel. I just didn't know that, I wanted to ask the two of you that
Yeah,
you're
we'll be
planning
here.
on being here if
Yeah.
I can't modify
Shall
my
be here.
plan.
Okay.
If I can modify it, then I can be here in the morning on the 12th, so that we could have a meeting with at least a quorum.
I don't think there'll be a problem.
I think
Okay,
that's all
okay, I
right.
just wanted to check with the two of you.
Okay, so, that being said,
Can I make a request before you close?
Sure.
Would you mind? I'd like to ask a favor of you. I had made multiple requests to Glenn Vernick to send me a contract so I can hunt on the county property.
So you can do what?
I've made multiple
hunting.
requests. I wanted to do
Yeah.
deer hunting on the property.
Okay.
I've made multiple requests to him for the contract.
You did?
Laura has forwarded him a contract. I've asked Dave to ask him to call me or
Okay.
to send the contract to me. I don't, at this
What
point.
kind of hunting you gonna be doing?
Just deer hunting, bow hunting,
Oh.
yeah,
I,
with a crossbow. And so
Still
would you
gonna
please,
get all
I mean,
those-
if
not
you're in
to
agreement.
cut you off, but I went down there and talked with him on Thursday at you should have something coming to you real soon.
Okay, very
So
good.
I already handled it for you.
Well, thank you, I appreciate that. I mean, you could potentially pass a motion ahead of the contract, based on, or due on the contract being signed.
He
It's
should
up to
have
you.
something to us real shortly. He had a couple issues that had come up over the weekend that he had to address, but he said he'll take care of it this week.
Very good, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Are you doing geese?
I'll hunt your geese if you'll allow me. Give me a written.
How many could you to get
Give
out
me a
there?
written
There's
statement
4
authorizing
now,
me.
could you get all 4?
I don't know what the daily limit is. I will take every one that I can take based on the daily limit. So, I won't violate the law, but I will certainly.
They're eating the apples
I will
now,
cer-
but they're down to 4.
All you gotta do is give me written permission. I ain't gonna go on your property without it.
Used to be thousands.
And I'll even.
If you promise me you'll remove them all.
I'll even cook a goose for you and bring it
Oh,
to the
right.
table.
I guess when they say your goose is cooked, it's not the
There
same.
you go.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion to adjourn?
All right.
You get that.